Athletic Hall of Fame. Tonight we are here to honour our greatest players and officials, the people that have created a history that we are now trying to emulate for this club. Firstly, I'd like to thank a few people. I'd like to thank Mr. Paul Cox. His company, Essex Pooling, have kindly sponsored this event. Let's make it clear, if they never sponsored it, there wouldn't be an event tonight. So thank you very much, Paul. I'd also like to thank Chris and Ben Riley for hosting tonight. They've also provided sponsorship for the club, and I think it's vital that anyone that sponsors Grays Athletic at the moment gets the reward back from the people. If any chance you can put any business back to these people, give them the chance. I think it's fitting that tonight we are in the ship, because...
In the what?
No, not the ship. The ship. Could you hear me at the back? Basically, the ship is right in the middle of where Grays Athletic first played in 1890 at the Hoppit, right near the Ball, and our spiritual home at the Wreck. So we're right in the middle now of basically the two places really we're known to play, because Corringham doesn't really count for crap, really, does it? I'd also like to do a few thanks before we start. Glyn Balmer, he's over there. Thanks for all your help, Glyn. Also to Fred Wakeling. Yeah, that troublesome little bit. George Watts. Glyn Jarvis. Muttley, Steve Allen. Kevin of the Trust. Here we go, that's it. Great Athletic. Come on, boy. You might put us down slightly, but you never keep us down. We will never be down for long. Trust me. Also to Chris Newport. He's over there. Chris has done the portrait for tonight's induction. And when you see it, I think you'll be amazed. No, it's not blue, okay? We might be the Blues, but it's not blue. Trust me. Right, so we start the story. Grays Athletic, founded 1890. Started off at the Hoppit. In 1906, we moved to the recreation ground. We were founder members of the Athenian League, possibly the second strongest league in the southeast of England and London. Yeah? London League winners 3 times. Essex Senior Cup winners before the war 3 times. And then we get to the war. We play the top teams in non-league football, and we do well. Okay, we turned up with 6 players sometimes. We had to nick players from the people that are watching, but we done well. And then after the war, we get to a stage where we were playing the Corinthian League because none of the other big boys wanted us in that league because we stuffed the hell out of them. Right. And then we joined the Athenian League, and times get hard. We nearly go out of existence. Players playing here tonight, like David Crown. You know, they were the hard days. You know, they were tough. Jeff and Fred Saxton, managing in the Athenian League in them days. Times were tough. We get through to 1982. By that time, Ron Billings has saved the club by buying the ground. And we start our upward spiral. We win promotion from the Athenian League. We win Isthmian League Division 2 South. Mickey Welsh. 46 goals in the season, and he had 2 trial spells at Wimbledon and Southend United. God knows how many of them got if he'd have stayed all season. '87-'88, we finish, runners up. Barry Delph joins. The Colossus. And all through this, we've got someone called Phil Salmons who's quietly collecting these appearances, and all of a sudden, you know, you realise he's retired and he's got over 700. I don't think anyone's ever going to beat that. Sorry, I'm not supposed to step over the line. And then, after the Saxons go, we have a few lean years. Mickey Woodward comes in. We get into the conference. Someone's cheered. Is Mickey here? And then, after 5 years, we go back down. But the grey spirit never dies.
That's right.
The grey spirit's always here. Tonight we have got more people here than most clubs in the Ryman League Division 1 North that we're in now get for a home game. So the grey spirit never dies. And we're going back up, boys, we're going back up. We'll be Conference South, trust me. And Andy Swallow, who's not here yet, hopefully he'll be here later on. That's his aim, I think, to get us to minimum Conference South. So we will be back.
Shall I go down and bail him out?
Right, for the first inductee tonight. This is a person with over 700 appearances. Unfortunately, he played for Tilbury before he came to us. But we won't hold that against him, because he is now the Chief Executive of the Essex County Football Association. And to induct him into this year's Hall of Fame is Mr. George Watts.
Hello, Georgie.
Hi everybody. Are you enjoying yourselves?
Yes.
You know, it's a great privilege for me to stand here to say a few words about Phil Salmons. Because Phil is the real team man. When I was talking to people about making a speech this evening, they said maybe you should put a joke in. Well, I don't tell jokes, so I'll just say Tilbury 3, Grays 1.
Cheers.
It would be a truism to say that Phil has been involved in football all his life. He played for Havering schools, under 11s, right up to the under 16s. And then he represented Essex schools under 19s, guided by our own Jeff and Fred Saxton. He joined Grays, as we know, in 1982-83 season, and went out to turn out a magnificent 472 league games, scoring 26 goals, 204 cup games with 11 goals, and 72 friendlies with 5 goals. As Chris said, I doubt if this wonderful record will ever be exceeded. His vast experience assisted the club from the Athenian League to the Eastern League Premier Division. But in addition to these league performances, he was also involved in many successful cup games, particularly the FA Cup and the trophy, not forgetting, of course, the Essex Senior Cup. Phil was in the team that in 1985-86 season, in the FA Trophy, played 10 games before losing to Chelmsford City in the second round. That just shows you how wonderful Grace Athletic played in those days. He tells me that he admired many players over the years that he was playing, but named 2 as special: Peter Dedmond and Phil Wettle. This was for the real commitment and enthusiasm for the game, and boy do we need some of that today. They kept themselves fit throughout their careers and were examples to everyone, both on and off the field. There were no big pay packets in those days, so Phil maintained his teaching post at Emerson Park Grammar School, taking up the post of Chief Executive for the Essex FA in his final year at Grace Athletic. Since then, he's done sterling work for Essex generally, benefiting football in the county and many players and teams individually too. Well done, Phil. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure indeed to induct Phil Salmons into the Grace Athletic Hall of Fame.
Phil, congratulations. Would you like to say a few words?
Thanks very much for reading out my speech. I think, as you can gather, I'm a bit of a stato, as famously is or trendily used now. Some call me an anorak. But yes, I did keep a record of everything I did in my playing career, as you've just heard. Yes. I'm not that old, but it does seem as though, having played that length of time, you might think I'm over 60, but I'm not. In general, though, you just mentioned 2 names. I was last week at Canvey, and sorry, my day job is to visit games. The game in question was Canvey Island versus Dagenham and Redbridge. That's right. Senior Cup semi-final, and at right back there was my 3rd person, I suppose, that I would now put into the category of admiring, and that was Steve Ward. Now Steve, sadly in that game, though he's 40, I know, did pull a hamstring after 10 minutes. And you wouldn't be very pleased if I told you that, but that's what happened. But for dedication, for an example to young players, Steve Ward, as I say, is 40, is now hoping to play in his 9th Senior Cup final over 4 decades. And that is something, again, if this record's not going to be broken, I don't think that will ever be broken. When you think of the dedication and time that he's put in there, into his efforts, and also the career he's had with trophy finals and conference appearances, etc, etc. But thank you, I won't bore you anymore with my statos session, but thank you very much. I'm very, very honoured to be able to receive this, and I wish Grace Athletic, because I have to be neutral now as I represent 1,600 clubs in Essex, but I do have a special thought and interest, of course, in Grace Athletic, and I wish you all the very best for the future. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, everyone. Phil Salmons. Good. One memory of Grays. Your best moment of Grays.
One memory, right. I always say, I better say two. One which the players will relate to is 10-200s. Crowney Junior, I'm not sure about Crowney Senior. Crowney Junior knows all about 10-200s because if we didn't have a Tuesday night game, Crowney wouldn't be around because it was 10-200s.
What even Welsh?
Welsh.
He thought you did him in his car.
Welsh, you just got to mention training, not 10-200s. And the second memory, weird really, but it's Petersfield. Petersfield away, left the ground at 10 o'clock, got home at 2 o'clock in the morning, watched Match of the Day at Petersfield because the coach got stuck in the mud. So not really football memories, but just two little things. The third one possibly, Gateshead away, where again Jimmy missed the vital shot that meant we had to go to Gateshead on a Tuesday night, and we arrived back late, or early, sorry, Wednesday morning. All the best.
Phil Salmons, everyone. Phil Salmons.
Just a guest of your brother, that's all. Yeah, you're not in this. You're just a guest.
Okay. Now for the next inductee. This guy joined Grays as a raw 16-year-old in 1976. Over the next 2 and a bit seasons, he went on to score 72 goals, including in 1977-39. This was from right wing. This wasn't from the centre forward position, although he probably did play there a few times because I was not fortunate enough to be able to see him. This is the first person in the semi-professional era of football that Grays ever got a transfer fee for. In case some of you younger ones don't know, there was a difference before 1973 of amateur against professional, and before that some of the great players that Grays might have had could just give a week's notice and say they was playing for somebody else. But this was the first guy ever to get a transfer fee. And also we got a bit more of it as well, because I think Brian Coker and Fred over there negotiated a nice little sell-on clause for the club. He went on to play for Brentford, Gillingham, Cambridge, Southend, Portsmouth, and I know that Reading, Cambridge United both look on him as a real hero as well. To induct David Crown into the Grays Athletic Hall of Fame, could you please give a round of applause for Mr. Fred Wakening?
Stand up, Fred!
Well, as you know, I've been with Grays Athletic for 60 odd years. I've been going there, and I've seen Dave turn up, and I've seen him training. I often wonder if he's playing or if he's just mucking about. But I know he has scored a few goals, and I can't say much because I'm involved in such a lot of players who have been in and out. And I'd just like to appreciate David for playing for Grays Athletic for his time he was there. and I wish him the best of luck from now onwards. Dave.
Well done, Dave.
Thank you guys. Looking at this photo, I think I put on a little bit of timber since those days. For you youngsters, I played in the 70s at Grays, that's 1970s, not the 18s. The true story about that transfer fee was, obviously I had a great time at Grays. Fred and Jeff, they taught me many things, as well as how to avoid the 10-200. But the truth of the matter was that Walthamstow came in for me, and they offered me £100 to go if I could get away for nothing, and I didn't. So that's why they got the £200. And now I'm an accountant, so I don't feel that. Thank you very much indeed, guys. I wish you all the best for your future as well. Thank you very much indeed.
So, just a quick one. Best memory of Grays?
Best memory of Grays? Losing out on that £100, I should imagine. I think I joined in the sort of like November, December time, played that season, and then had a full season the following year, and I think the stats were 39 goals in a season, and I was player of the year, and I think I got drunk at the Tower Hotel as well on the celebration of the player of the year night, so it was great times for me. Thanks very much indeed.
David Crown, everybody. We're now going to induct two players, one who is sadly no longer with us, and the other who is on holiday in Goa. Quite a nice place to be, actually. I thought. Yeah, it's a bit poor. The first person to be inducted without being here tonight is Harry Brand. Now, for those of you that don't know, Harry Brand is the greatest goal scorer to ever play for Grace. He played from 1943 to 1952 and scored 269 goals for the club, including a probable never to be beaten record of 81 goals in 1945-46. As well as playing for the club, he was also manager for the club for two spells. The first in 1951 to 53 was when the club narrowly missed out on the Corinthian League Championship at the time. 51-52, we lost the Corinthian League on goal average, which is different to what you get nowadays on goal difference, and it'll take quite a while to explain, so I just can't be bothered to be he returned for a second spell in 55-56 as manager. Unfortunately that wasn't successful, but unless David Crandall continued to play or Mickey Welsh should stay with the club a bit longer, no one has ever come close to beating his record of 269 goals. The second person to be inducted tonight, without being here of course, is Malcolm Shaw. He joined the club in 1961 from West Thurrock, and yes, West Thurrock is right, not Thurrock or anything. There was a West Thurrock football club that was one of the three main clubs in Thurrock for many years. Before Aveley and Thurrock existed, or East Thurrock, we had three main clubs in Thurrock, and you can all give a boo when we say Tilbury, Grays, hey, and West Thurrock. That's the boo that. He, over the next 3 seasons, went on to establish himself as a Grays Athletic legend. Astonishingly, in a record ever defeat against Enfield, he was named man of the match. Now, we lost 12-0 that day, but we was probably playing at the time the England amateur international side. So, for him to be named man of the match goes to show that we could probably have been absolutely mullered. He was a regular in the England amateur and Great Britain Olympic squads that were named at the time. And to many people, he is possibly the greatest goalkeeper, I should say, that never played in the Football League, from those that saw him play. Tonight we honour Malcolm Shaw. Although we will be inducted later on in the season on the pitch before a game. We now go to an award which the recipient is fairly new. He's achieved this by sheerly paying out the money to get on here tonight. Harry hasn't got a beer belly or whatever, I don't know, or from food. But Alison, who are you? Alison? Alison Popham would probably not have a job on a Saturday if it wasn't for this person. He has to place an order at half time so that he is guaranteed his bacon roll. I don't think, from all the years I've ever supported this club, that I've ever seen anyone that could achieve this feat. But Grays Athletic's greatest ever eater, Jordan Nunn. He dared me, and I said I'd do it. No one's ever going to beat this guy. Barry Delph. Joined the club in 1987, and following him joining, the club went on a successful run. We finished runners-up in the Isthmian Isthmian Division 1 as it was then. Then we finished for the next 2 seasons 5th in the Isthmian Premier. In all, Barry chalked up over 300 appearances for the club. For 3.5 years, he never missed a competitive fixture. Officially, he hung his gloves up after the 1992 Isthmian League Cup final, but whenever he was called upon, he always used to come out of retirement to help the club. He won 3 Essex Thameside trophies, is that right, Barry? The Essex Senior Cup. He started his career playing in amateur football and got spotted at a trial at Aston Villa. Unfortunately, Ron Saunders, the manager at the time, had just signed up an apprentice goalkeeper, so it didn't work out. But he had been spotted by Roger Buxton, the BBC Essex sports editor at the time, and he recommended him to the Southend United chief scout. Barry then went on non-contract terms, I believe it was, to play for Southend, and he made one league appearance against Sheffield United. Southend won 3-1 before future England manager Peter Taylor signed him for Dartford, and then he come to us. Possibly the most commanding, inspiring person for the defence who ever played in goal for Grays. He would have definitely been in any of our Conference League sides, without a doubt. Tonight it's my pleasure to personally induct Barry Delph into the Grays Athletic Hall of Fame.
Thanks, Chris. Trying to recognise the one with hair on here. Grays was the bulk of my amateur games, as I say. Enjoyed it 5+ years. There's a lot of players here I see who played with us, and a couple in the Hall of Fame, so it was good. I don't know what all these 10-200s are. I never did, didn't I? Specialist keeper training to one side, I did. That was good.
No, you just kicked the ball up.
I would have kept Mickey company in his car, I think. No, there was some good times, but the main thing was, although I'm getting this and it's a great honour to be in there, I think the team that we had during that period was actually a team. It wasn't individuals, it was a team. It was very good to play. The year that we finished runner-up, we only lost 2 games that year.
Yeah.
101 points, I think we got.
And finished runners-up.
Still finished runners-up to Marlow. Even though we beat them twice that year. I'll steal your thunder. The 2 games that come to mind, I can't forget the Enfield Cup final, because that was my last proper game. And we were the underdogs when we went out there, and we stuffed it basically for one.
Got that on DVD from the bottom.
Yeah, £5 on DVD. As Nicky said earlier on, you won't see a lot of the ball though, because when I was kicking it, it was miles up there. So.
Barry, Barney away.
Barney away was my other game that I was going to say. Barney away, I can't remember who scored, but I remember a couple of things about that game, and that was that we were holding on. Flashman and Fry were there, and everyone, they were probably, and they were going to do us out some money for it, because you share the money. So I think the Sacco's got people with clickers on the gate, every gate, counting the number of people going in, I think. But,
Who scored the goal? Who scored the goal, Barry?
I don't know who scored it. I was up the other end chatting to the crowd. But no, it's a great team, great time to play. Sacco's, Peter Carey, who hasn't been mentioned, great trainer, great times, great stories. I'm sure he'd be up here on the mic. Vince, I don't know if a lot of you remember Vince from Wimbledon who came. He's the reason I had a thigh this big and kicking the ball right up the other end ring to chase. We weren't allowed to throw it out or play it out. Percentage. Get a corner and you score from it. So, really, I've taken up enough of your time. I just want to say thank you all. Thanks very much. Nice to see everyone here. Thanks for your support. Thanks for support.
To induct Mickey Welsh into the Grays Athletic Hall of Fame is Steve Muttley Allen, Chairman of the Trust.
Right, as was said, Mickey scored better than 2 goals every 3 games, which is quite phenomenal. Unfortunately, when Mickey was playing, I only see him play, well, not too many times because of other commitments, but we'll get around as how good he was. That's it, 146 goals in 216 appearances, 148 goals. That's pretty good. It gives me great pleasure to induct Mickey Welsh into the Hall of Fame. Come on, Mickey, you're late.
Yeah, for these words. But this thing about the 10 to 100s, let's get one thing straight. You know, when I very first came to Grays, we went the back of Lambourne Inn, the training session, and the Sacco said to me, we want the athletes to go with this guy, and we want all the athletes to go with this. Well, I thought it was pretty fit. But he had a geezer who done the London Marathon. So off their set, yeah, I'm trekking with them, but cooking, I got lost in the bush, didn't I? And that has honestly been what I've continued to do.
Jarvis.
Thank you very much, Chris. I might as well just tear up my little pieces of paper here because Chris has covered most of the points I was going to make. But before I start, I do think we should actually place on record for this evening's affair our thanks to Chris Turner himself. If anybody has half an hour or an hour or a couple of hours to spare, Chris will talk to you about the history of Grays Athletic Football Club. Even more than I do or can. No. Yes, yes. It's true, it's true. Okay, right, let's get on to the Saccos then. I think it's fair to say that many people have done many good things on behalf of this football club over the last 122 years, either on or off the field of play. Now, this evening we've already honoured 6 players who proved their value to the team and to the club over many years. But there are only 2 people who can justifiably boast that their efforts proved invaluable for a generation both on and off the pitch. Jeff and Fred had that unique quality which helped us through those very difficult times in the late 1970s, for those that can remember it, when we very nearly lost the ground, and took us right through to the start of this new millennium. Jeff joined the club as coach. This is where it gets a bit repetitive, but I need to go through these stats, I think, a little bit. Jeff joined as coach in 1976 and was soon joined by twin brother Fred as they became joint managers. On the field, they achieved a club record which spanned nearly 25 years and covered well over 1,000 games. Induct Jeff and Fred Saxton into the Hall of Fame and to present them with the Gordon Norman Memorial Award for services to Grays Athletic Football Club. Thank you.
I'll go a brief first. I think Glyn touched on a very important aspect as regards to history. There wouldn't have been a Grays during our time but for the Billings family, and we got to know Ron Billings very, very well. I remember we were with the County Schools Festival in Skegness, and we got a phone call saying, "You won't believe this, the ground's on fire, the stand has burnt down." And those that can think back to those years, where the flats are now, originally was the wooden stand. And I think an alcoholic or something had been in there one night and said the whole thing. And to be fair to Ron Billings, he built the ball court, the facility that we've used until very recently as the football club, and enabled us, as Glyn has mentioned, to turn the financial aspects of the club round. On a lighter note, on some of the football, I mean, where do you start on some of the football situation? I remember David scoring, I think, 6 at Red Hill, was it, David? I don't think that's been beaten in one game. I remember Waldy turning up at Hainault. His parents had written to all the senior clubs in Essex because he was at Kent Grammar School and they only played rugby, and he wanted to play soccer. So his mother had written to all the clubs in Essex, and with our education background we were the only ones that responded. We replied and said, more than welcome to turn up training at Hainault. So Waldy turned up. He had his hoops, gold and black rugby socks. He had his rugby boots that curled up at the toe, and everybody thought, what on earth have we got here? And the moral of the story is, I suppose, look what he's ended up achieving. I think he spent 10 years at Grays and one of the most amusing possible stories, I mean, I thought Welshie was going to touch on it. I don't think this would happen in modern day management. 2:30, we had a good FA Cup run one year, and in one of the earlier rounds we played Sutton at home, and we got a phone call at 2:30, Welshie's on his way. He had to put the team sheet in, I think about 3/4 of an hour before kick-off, so we'd already put his name on. But 2:30 is on his way. Well, 2:50 still hasn't arrived. So the rest of the players were thinking, what are the boys going to do here? So we had a quick confab, brother and I, and we thought, well, we knew he was definitely arriving, and about 7 minutes to 3 he came through the dressing room door. And all the rest of the players were ready to go out and play. I mean, Sutton in those days they just had they beat Coventry the year before. They were really on a high. So they thought they were the bee's knees, and they were coming to sort of Margar's Rovers, Grays. And so Welshie gets himself ready. So the rest of the players are delaying as much as they could. So we go out with 10 men. Welshie's still in the dressing room trying to get himself organised. The bottom line, we were 2 up in 20 minutes. Who scores both goals? Welshie. On a technical note, something that people often ask, well, what was one of the most interesting observations you made during training? Okay, we've heard about the 10-200s, that's a different issue.
Yeah, it was training.
But I think someone mentioned him earlier, a player who was a local lad, we never knew him at all, he was really a Tilby lad, and he turned up, he came to meet us. He said he'd heard all about us and he thought he'd like to come and possibly play at Grays. This was a guy called Tony Mahoney. And he turned up, and I'll always remember, this is possibly a bit down the road as regards one of the sessions, we were doing crosses and asking the guys to come in and volley. And it ended up, the rest of the players just stood and watched in admiration, because I think 10 crosses came in, and he volleyed every one into the top corner of the net. Now you ask any pro if that's a possible achievement, and it's a blinking hard challenge to do that. Is a volley, and he puts them all in the top corner of the net. That was the sort of calibre that Mahoney brought to the club. I think I've said enough.
If I come in on a slightly different tact, I suppose it's fair to say that the common thread through the players that we were involved with was the mutual respect that there was between the players, between us and the players, that made it enjoyable. And with that sort of camaraderie, we were able to win football matches. And that is still the case. I mean, I've gone back to my roots, if you like. I'm still helping out with schools football, but I still see those same qualities today in young people. And that is important. A lot of people lose that aspect of what is vital in developing young players. I would also say it's very humbling, in a way, but the legacy that we have got at the club, when I say we, I mean the players that we were involved with, the men that we were involved with, our friends, if you like, who helped us on the management side, became directors, all the supporters that had an empathy within the club. I would say the legacy of all of this is now in where the ground used to be at the Rec, being called Saxton Park. And that's not a memory just for us, it's a memory for all of you people that helped us achieve what we did while we were at Grays. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff and Fred Saxton.
I know his daughter's here. If she would like to say a few words. No. I'll be with you.
The recipient of the Brian Coker Club Official Memorial Award is Glyn Jarvis.
Glyn, I know you said a few words before. This award tonight is in memory of a great supporter, but it's awarded to a great supporter. This guy started supporting Grays, I think it's the age of 11, is that right? First ever Athenian League game? Yeah? Served finance director for many years, kept the club's finances in order, and recent years he's led, like Brian Coker, the fight to keep this club alive. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Glyn Jarvis.
Alison, everybody, this is unbelievable. I'm not normally lost for words, as most of you will know. But no, this is fantastic. Brian taught me all I knew about accountancy and football. I nearly worked for him when I was a lad. I decided not to take the offer that he made to me, and I went and did my accountancy training elsewhere, but Brian's paths and mine kept crossing one another, mainly in connection with football, I have to say, and the work that he did was just phenomenal. And he was Mr. Grays Athletic, and nobody should ever replace him with that description. But it's a fantastic honour for me, and all I can say at this moment, I think, is that we're at a very difficult time again for the football club. I know there are others working far harder than I am these days. I'm very much a backroom boy. I sell a few programmes on a match day, and maybe I'll talk to our treasurer from time to time to see how things are going, but there's a huge amount of work going on to help us get a relocation, and I just hope that the group of people helping and supporting the club can carry on doing that until we achieve that objective, because it will be well worth waiting for. But thanks once again for this lovely award. Thank you.
Can I just say, apologies to the players for, well, at least I made you look about 10 years younger in some of them, like, you know. Down to the quality of the photos. But Chris here, he's been marvellous. He really has done some research and stuff, and where he got the photos from, I don't know. But I'm just proud to give it to Keith, a little bit for the club. Enjoy yourselves.
Everyone's heard enough of my voice in the past few months. I'd like to say thank you to Chris Turner, thank you to the Trust for putting this deal on this evening, for honouring players from the past. As Glenn Jarvis has just said, it's critical times at the moment for the club. We're moving things forward, but there are lights at the end of the tunnel. That could be a train yet. As far as there being a ground back in the town, hopefully within 2 years. So lots of work going on behind the scenes, but tonight, thanks very much to the Supporters Trust, thanks very much to the officials, past and players, past and present, for coming here tonight. A great night, a great turnout. All I've got to say on behalf of the current custodians, thanks very much guys.